Well, hey, welcome to the show before the show, where I check to make sure everything is working. I'm your host, Patrick Marlett, your local game guy, and today we'll be talking about Talion, the kindly lord. Not only talking, full-blown deck tech, live, just for you, your eyes only. And it's also on demand, so everyone else after the live will get to enjoy this. But for those of you participating in the live stream, thank you for joining me. You all will likely know how this goes down at this point, but I figure I should give this little disclaimer at the start. We're all doing this live together. It may or may not be the most cEDH thing ever, but we try to make things as competitive as possible on this channel when it comes to our deck building, because winning's the name of the game. And we're going to try to do that here with this Dimir legend from Wilds of Eldraine. So we haven't seen too much of the set, but this mythic rare is pretty standout already. If you haven't seen it, it's in the thumbnail. I believe I've discussed it in a video and in a community post, excuse me. So you likely have seen Talion at least on this network before. But the whole shtick is we brew this live together. It's over on Tapped Out. You can take this, copy paste it onto your favorite editor, and make it better. That's the whole goal. Generally speaking, we take about 2 hours to do this, and that's pretty quick for a deck, I gotta say. So it could definitely use some brushing up afterwards, but the goal is to get a rough blueprint out for people that want to make this deck, and then ultimately, you know, they can build off of whatever we produce today. I'm very excited for this one because I don't usually get excited about Dimir. It's been a while. What is it? The Tide Hollow, the Tide Chaser, the Tide something. There was a Dimir legend a little while back that had like a 1-2 punch combo that was kind of interesting. I don't know if I necessarily did a build for it, but I remember seeing a couple of builds for it and it was really cool. But generally speaking, I don't stick my toes in the Dimir pool. It's just murky. It's dirty. Who wants to go in there? But when it's set in an enchanted world, it's so much better, right? But Dimir from Eldraine has been pretty tight. I remember playing Eldraine, the initial set, when it first came out, and like Drown in the Loch. There was a lot of cool cards that came out, and I can only imagine there's going to be more from this set. I can't say what I've seen thus far being an MTG ambassador, but I've seen a few things, and it all looks really cool. I like Eldraine a lot. I like these fairy tales reimagined, kind of coming to life in Magic the Gathering. It's very on flavor for the brand at any rate. But how are you guys? You excited to build this deck with me? Hopefully? You hear that the One Ring sold for 2.6 million? Of course. Don't I wish I found it? Man, that would have been great. But yeah, I think Post Malone bought it for 2.6 million. I don't know how that shakes out for the person who found it and sold it. I don't know what channels they went through to sell the card, but what a great deal that was. Imagine buying that box or pack and being like, whatever, let's see what I get. I get what I get. You know what I mean? I'm a little envious. I hope Post Malone actually plays the card. Doubtful. What I would do, at the comfort of his home, maybe if he keeps it there in a vault or something. But if I was playing with friends, I would totally switch out the One Ring I have on the table for the one I have like in a locked safe when I have trustworthy friends nearby. That would be kind of dope. But I really do hope that it gets played in a weird way. Just imagine how cool that would be to be able to whip that serialized one-of-one ring out and just slam it on the table. At any rate. Hopefully this is fun for you guys though. Again, I will need as much help as possible with this because it's been a while since I've done Dimir. I'm trying to think of combos I want to rely on. Obviously, we could do Demonic Consultation and Thassa's Oracle, like that's a thing, right? So Dimir gets that. I didn't build a Tainted Pact land base out, but if we want to, we can do that. The list is linked in the description, so if you want to go there and check it out and follow along with me as we brew, well, there you go. It's right there for you. But Talion, the Not-So-Kindly Lord, is what it's labeled. You can find it on Tapped Out. Again, use your editor of choice, but I prefer using Tapped Out. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the One Ring sale. Do you imagine there's going to be a card that is worth more than $2.6 million? Let me know. It's I'm flabbergasted that it went for that much. I think the estimates leading up to that were somewhere in the region of 800,000, but not, or no, not 800,000. That was like the highest sold card prior. I think estimates were not above 2 million though. At any rate, I don't really care too much about MTG finance unless I'm selling singles, and then I make myself care. But this was an interesting story to follow. You probably know better than me. One Ring is a staple for every cEDH deck. Right, yeah, and you need that serialized one of One Ring, really, if you really want to play it. I don't think it's a staple for every cEDH deck, but I think for this deck, because it's like, I don't think, again, I've said this before, I don't think Kenrith, I don't think Blue Farm, I don't think a majority, there's gonna be a lot of just good stuff lists that use the best cards. They're not gonna have space for a draw utility that's in the 99, like most of their draws in the command zone by, in some way, shape, or form. And that's not true of every cEDH deck, but I think the one monocolored list, dual colored list, some trip colored list, like this list will probably enjoy it for sure. I don't know how many cards we jam in the list that find it as an artifact specifically, but we can run it. But it's not a win con. It's going to be a good draw utility. But the fact of the matter is Talion's drawing a lot by itself. It's pretty androgynous. I don't know if Talion's a guy or a girl, but Talion is drawing a lot by itself. So I feel like we're probably safe, and particularly if we want to go the route of throwing in as many clone effects as possible, like Sakashima effects as possible, we should be drawing a lot. Like a whole lot. This isn't once per turn, and we can get into the deck in just a second. This is not once per turn. If we say, like, on one copy of Talion, Talion's doing 1, another one's doing 2, that covers most of our bases. In a cEDH match, that's going to cover most of our bases, and then there's a few oddities beyond that. But bear in mind that that's power and toughness as well, right? So we're going to be looking at anytime 1 shows up in power and toughness for creatures, which is a lot of commanders. 2, a lot of commanders, let alone the casting cost of the cards you're playing. 2, generally speaking, is like the average of spells, I would say, in a cEDH setting. I put a community post poll out recently to get a feel for what number you guys think is accurate. I find that 2 to be pretty accurate as well, so yeah, Post Malone has it now. Any deck that's not in blue, for sure. Yeah, Post Malone has it, and like, more power to him. He looks like he's such a chill dude. He'd be really fun to play with, and I know he enjoys cEDH, so it'd be fun to play with him. Hear that, Post? I'll fight you for the One Ring. Well, it's funny because I love the One Ring in Oswald so much. That whole deck's tailored towards it now, so he might appreciate a deck that let him play his $2.6 million ring every game. But a card like that is likely not. It's sad. It's an investment piece more over anything. I don't really foresee that card ever being played. It's probably not going to see daylight for a while either, but I have no idea what his intention is with it. Hopefully he plays the shit out of it. Genuinely. All right. At any rate, if you're just joining on now, welcome. I'm Patrick Marlette, your local game guy, and today we'll be brewing Talion the Kindly Lord, or as I like to call it, the Not So Kindly Lord, because this legendary is kind of ridiculous. You know, a lot of people, I don't know if they're joshing me, they're pulling my leg, but a lot of people are like, this is a crap card. This card's not good. How could you foresee playing this? Well, I don't know. I could think of a handful of ways to turn 1 this, right? Because it's 4 CMC, but 2 of that's generic. So like a Dark Ritual, a Jeweled Lotus, there's a lot of things you can do to just put this thing down. So it's like, okay, so what happens when you put it down turn 1, turn 2, right? Turn 2, the latest. I think you're aiming for this. I think this deck is aiming for this. It's a 3/4 legendary creature, Fairy Noble Flyer. As Talion the Kindly Lord enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with a mana value of power, sorry, I got distracted. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with a mana value, power, or toughness equal to the number chosen, that player loses 2 life, and you draw a card. So it's again, like I said earlier, it's not once per turn. Anytime someone's casting spells with the number you chose, and I kind of wish you could have said 0 for a little bit more range, but I mean 1 to 10 is a lot. You're coming from a very wide range here. So being able not to hit like the Mox Diamonds, the Mox Opals, like the stuff that's just going to come down first after an ad nauseum or whatever isn't the end of the world. I honestly think, you know, the 1 to 2 range is probably better for this anyways. But what's most important is the fact that you'll draw a lot. You'll draw a whole lot as soon as this comes down, and it's situational. So I don't really feel like people are going to be too concerned about bringing down Talion if it's just getting you situational value. Because if you really look at it, it's a 4-cost do nothing, okay? And that's fair. I can see that. But if you read into it and you just think about how the typical game of cEDH goes, or Commander in general, let's be honest, there's a lot of color fixing rocks that drop. A lot of the big plays happen at 2, right? So Orcish Bowmasters now, Dockside Extortionist, Underworld Breach, Thassa's Oracle. You name a billion things that fall into the 2 CMC slot. They all will trigger this, right? The only thing that could have made it better is whenever any player casts a spell of, you know, X number. But that would have been a little nutty. I think that the mythic rare slotting of this card makes sense. I love its mana cost. I think it's super reasonable. I think that this effect is going to get a lot of draw, and it's going to be hard to goldfish and predict how much you'll actually gain. But what's great about this is, again, situational draw, not the biggest threat, but I think it's also just a good control mander. I think we're probably going to play a slower game. I don't think that necessarily means stacks. It's a game that's reactive. We're not going to want to push for a win first, and I mean, unless we have like a turn 1 ad nauseum or something nutty and we can just go for it, and that's totally fine. Maybe we should. But I think you're going to wait till someone else tries, right? Collect your cards, make them lose life, and bearing in mind, a lot of strategies rely on an ad nauseum. I know more and more people are trying to lean away from it, but it's ad nauseum. That and Necropotence, like there's still very valuable effects in the 99. So we're going to punish them just by making them lose life here. It's so good. I mean, I'm really just thinking about the draw, but the 2 life isn't laughable. That's actually quite good. Anyway, I'm currently making Oswald my first cEDH deck. Cool. You should follow. There is a live stream I did recently showcasing how the One Ring plays in Oswald Fiddlebender, and I gotta say, that live stream couldn't have gone better. Like, it illustrated perfectly why the One Ring is fantastic in decks tailored for it. I think I turned 2 the ring out, and then by turn 3 I had like practically a game. So watch that video if you just want to see how the deck can work, and I'll just suggest you follow my deck list if you're interested in playing it. It's a good deck list. I've been playing Oswald for a long time. Fairy is cool in my book, makes those counter fairies better. Glenelendra, Archmage, and ETB Fairy. Let's go Fairy Tribal. Do we want to go Fairy Tribal? Is that something we actually want? Palantir and Reanimation for clone effects. Palantir and Reanimation for clone effects. So if you guys don't know what Palantir is, it's this thing. Oh, and you know, I should start with this. I should mention, I'm trying to be better about promoting this channel. If you guys enjoy the content here, please leave a like and share with your best friends, your grandma, your loved one. Mostly your grandma. I just want more grannies watching this show. It really helps this channel a lot. Your reactions to the content, your likes, your shares, your commentary, it does help this channel grow. So please do that. Google loves it. They just eat it up. They're like, oh my gosh, people like what this guy is doing. I know normally I do all the talking, but please talk with me. It helps. Palantir of Orthonk, though. I'm assuming this. I mean, I don't think there's another Palantir. At the beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on LGG. Why don't you? Scry 2. Then target opponent may have you draw a card. Oh, that's really sweet. More draw for you. If the player doesn't, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on Palantir of Orthonk, and the player loses life equal to the total. So this is kind of cool in tandem with Talion. I don't disagree. What I like about this, I mean, you can use this coupled with the One Ring as well. If you just fill out your suite of Lord of the Rings cards, right? So I think I got Lord of the Rings product finally from this MTG ambassadorship. I have not opened anything yet. I'm excited to see what I got. The one thing I did need was the One Ring, so I got my copy. It wasn't 2.6 million, thank goodness. But it's so good. Its effect is kind of, it feels like $2.6 million worth of effect. This feels like maybe, I don't know, like, what does it say here? $14, $15. This feels like a $15 card. It's good. It's situational. There's a lot of stuff that hates out Underworld Breach decks, and a lot of those same effects are going to hate your reanimation strategy. So it's important to save your counters or save your removal for set effects, right? So just be wary of the fact that people will be fighting meta strategies that do care about the graveyard, and that's likely going to affect Palantir reanimation stuff, even Mesmeric Orb reanimation stuff. This is safer because it's not only giving you card quality with the scry, you're not getting draw, but you're getting to see what you get next. You will likely draw at a certain point from this, and that day will be pretty sweet, but the mill is pretty significant. And what's fortunate is it's not them milling, right? So you're not fueling someone's Underworld Breach stack, like you're not fueling their escape. I like it. I'm not sure we're gonna go for it. I want to look up a few things first. So like Sakashima, sort of I think the number one most highlighted card when Talion was announced. People were like, oh my gosh, we need to get around the legend rule and we need to put as many Talions on the battlefield as possible. Genuinely speaking, I feel like if it was just Sakashima and just Talion, that might be enough. Like if you just said 1 and 2, that's probably enough so far as clone effects are concerned. But I don't know all the clone effects, and I'd be curious to see if there are more that are easily castable and easy to use. I pulled 2 One Rings, so there wasn't just one ring, is what you're saying. Palantir seems like a bad Phyrexian Arena. Oof. And Phyrexian Arena is already pretty bad. You feel that way, I see. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. So, for 3 generic and a blue, 3 one-body legendary creature human rogue, you may have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control. So Talion is priority number 1, Sakashima is priority number 2, potentially. Except it Sakashima of 1,000 Faces has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces other abilities, namely will partner, but the legend rule does not apply to permanents you control. So if you were to copy another legendary thing, cool. I think Talion's probably concern number 1, but enter copy. Is that what we're looking up? Enter copy. There's a thing called like mirror room. There's a better one. There's a new one that came out that's better than this, Mirror Gallery. So the legend rule doesn't apply to you. I think that's maybe working a little too hard for what Talion is doing. Genuinely speaking, I think once you have Talion down and Talion set at 2, that's really good by itself. Probably enough value right there. There was a new one that came out, not Mirror of Fate, not Mirror of Galadriel. Mirror of Galadriel. If you know the mirror I'm referring to, please let me know. And my suffering, please. Is it even a mirror? It's a new one that's kind of like this. Mirror Box. Jeez Louise. This is better. They're just like, hey, you remember that one old card we did from Kamigawa that we kind of did okay? Let's just do that and do it better, like much better. So they did Mirror Box. This I could see potentially playing, but it's really outside of having a clone strategy, it might not be useful or significant, but the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1, so Talion would be a 4/5, which, again, not insignificant, but maybe overkill. I mean, that Toxic Deluge is going to have to tick 1 more up, right? So there's that. Each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that creature. That's kind of sick. That's actually really sick. It's sadly non-token, so you really got to commit to the bit here. But let's see here. Palantir seems bleh. I do think you need a clone effect is any good with this commander, makes the strategy not better. Dasfa. I do not think you need a clone effect. Okay. Mirror Gallery, Mirror Box. Thank you, Chris. Is this really a potential Chalice deck? I do not think so. And you're saying Chalice of the Void? I don't know if this is like this is a Chalice deck. But what I want to do is look up Enter's copy. Enter's copy? Enter's copy? Anyone? Just to see if there's any clone effects beyond Sakashima. Is it enter copy? We'll do enter copy. There you go. This gives us a few more. Sakashima again is really the only one that piqued my interest. I do want to just go over our land base briefly. You'll notice again, I don't have a Tainted Pack land base quite yet. We can build it out. Like I put some of the supplemental dual lands in here, things like our pathway lands, just to get some of our bases covered. Whoa, not what I want to do. We also have our fast land here, Darkflick Shores. But basically the general suite of fetch lands, dual and shock, and our 3 command tower, City of Brass, and Mana Confluence Rainbow lands are in here. I put Forbidden Orchard as well, Gemstone Caverns for speed, Ancient Tomb also for speed. All of that's there. So we can start building this out. I don't really want to have more than 29 lands, potentially 30. I don't want to have less than 28 because of the cost of Talion. I think 29 is a sweet spot these days with cEDH, particularly if you have all the fast mana going for you. I do not think so. Phyrexian Metamorph. Phyrexian Metamorph, Mirror Pool. Well, I guess we'll see all of these in a second. Mirror Pool is kind of cool. Other than the fact that it enters tapped. But what's neat about this is it lends to our Tainted Pack mana base. So if we're gonna do that Dimir thing, which again I spelled it out earlier, but Demonic Consultation, Thassa's Oracle, if that's how we want to conclude a game, we can. If you have a more interesting way of winning the game in Dimir that's cropped up since recently, cropped up, one or the other, let me know. I would love to do something outside of Thassa's Oracle, please. Don't say Lab Jace. Don't say Lab Man. Anything outside of those, please let me know. I mean, we could do anything like I'll take an Icecron Scepter Loop if you got one, please. There's a spell version of Sakashima from Commander Legends D&D. Dasva, if you know it, please let me know. That piques my interest. The mirror seems like a meme. I wouldn't do clones. Derpy Panda. What does a Derpy Panda know? I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Derpy. I feel like the clone idea is really nice, but I feel like Talion by itself is really, really good, but I don't mind putting a few clone effects in. I feel like someone mentioned it, Chris, Phyrexian Metamorph, probably just good in the deck anyways. Like it's good stealing Dockside Extortionist and getting mana, right? That's never a bad play. But outside of like value clones, because that clone is gonna enter in what? We just reassign the number because we have to get rid of one. Dimir Guildmage, Mind Crank combo to win. Ooh, I like that. Here, I'm gonna end this poll and we can put a new one in a few if you guys want. But it looks like 47% agree that Talion could be cEDH, so that's good to know. Mirror Pool lets you sacrifice it and put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of target creature you control. So that's the main thing we were looking at here, but I'm not too interested in that one. Let me see this. What's most important is that we avoid the legend rule. Okay? I only want to consider things it's legendary in addition to its other types. Oh, I forgot Lazav's kind of cool. Phantasmal Image. Phantasmal Image is the most common one. Phyrexian Metamorph, I'm trying to remember if it's 3 CMC. How does Phyrexian Metamorph read? I'll look it up later. Glasspool Mimic. Ernicus Vile Duplication? Is that the... okay, let me look that up. Well, is it going to show up? Let's just see if it shows up. How about that? How about them apples? We'll just see if it shows up. I think I want to put Phantasmal Image in the deck. Just as a value. Because we're Dimir, I feel like we need to get as much value as we can. So that means our opponent's value. We're not on it yet, but I do think we're also probably going to use Praetor's Grasp as well. This is just a steal, potential wins. It's 4 CMC with Phyrexian Blue. You can cast it for 3 and 2 life. Phyrexian Metamorph. Gotcha. Alright, I mean, is that a common choice for players in Dimir? If it is, then we can consider it. I think that Sakashima is fun. I want to see this card Dofsva brought up, the Vile Duplication. I'm curious to see if that's any good here. Machine God's Effigy. Why have I never heard of this? That sounds so sick. Is that not just a sick-ass sounding card? Ah, Phyrexian Metamorph. I see. So this is nice because it gets, the issue with Phantasmal Image is the fact that it folds to a strong wind. Phyrexian Metamorph's kind of cool though. Bearing in mind that it's also an artifact, right? So it does have more ways to get struck down, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces we'll throw in. My qualm with the Metamorph is just the fact that if we're on Ad Nauseam, which will probably be, it is still 4 CMC. Like virtual less on the cast 3, but it is still technically 4 CMC. Okay, so it's just not showing up. Vile is Sakashima on sorcery. Vile Duplication. It's 4 CMC. Create a token that's pretty dope. Is there a... Could we... What is it? Do we Drift of Phantasms it out? No, we can't. Oh, it's 3 CMC. Alright, well, we'll try this Vile Duplication. Nikis's... Did I spell it wrong? Okay, cool. I'll save and continue with those. So we've got 4 clone effects, technically. So 3 technically. I like these. How desperate are we to go like a full clone route, by the way? Start a poll. Do we enter the Clone Wars? Mixing IPs? I could just mix these IPs. We're in black. We do not need to play bad tutors. Hey, hold up. Don't you insult Transmute. Don't you insult my Drift of Phantasms. No, we have a lot of tutors going for us. I don't know if we need to jam any more than necessary. I wouldn't mind going for some form of reanimate strategy just because we could entomb Sakashima for funsies and reanimate it right into our Talion, but we could also go for a proper reanimation strategy that leads to a win, or Buried Alive pile that leads to a win if you guys want. There's plenty that are in mono black. I would have to uncover some Dimir ones because I don't know any specific Dimir Buried Alive piles off the top of my dome. But yeah, Chris can't get Dust. I get it, okay? I don't mind a little bit of jank in my cEDH deck every now and then. I'm with you though. We can just go Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, Vampiric Tutor, Diabolic Intent. I'm just getting these out of the way now because obviously we're gonna run the basic tutors. Diabolic Intent, and then we want to do Wishclaw Talisman. On top of all that, I am pretty sure we're going to be on Mystical Tutor. Mystical Tutor. I really like Spell Seeker. I'm not sure we care about Merchant Scroll, but in Dimir, does Dimir care about Merchant Scroll? You guys let me know. Let me know if I missed a black tutor as well. Again, Entomb, the whole Entomb reanimate idea, like that is something we can play for. I'm going to sideline it for now, as well as an Animate Dead. You always need backup for that, as well as a Buried Alive. I don't mind the idea of some form of storm. Yawgmoth's Will. How hard do we storm? How hard do we go on the storm train? Because we can dig for Yawgmoth's Will. Go old school. This deck seems like a deck that holds off forever and plays control strat. That's how I'm feeling too. Now, Mono U cares about Merchant Scroll. Dimir doesn't need it. Yeah, I think we could probably stop with Spellseeker and Mystical Tutor, right? And I also just want to put in the Rhystic Study, and then Mystic Remora. And Mystic Remora. Any other draw utilities you guys really want? Do people like Dark Confidant still? Let's start there. I'm going to put it in. Do we like Dark Confidant still? What are the better draw utilities? What are the top draw utilities? Go. For Dimir, what are your favorite draw utilities? Actually, that... outside of the ones we've covered, right? Obviously, Rhystic, Mystic, Dark Confidant. Let me know about Dark Confidant. But what are your favorite draw utilities, and what are some of your favorite specific Dimir spells? Like, are there any specific Dimir staple spells you can think of? Let me know. Right now, I'm just going over some basic staples, some cards you'll generally find in every cEDH list. So, Soul Ring. I'm going to go with some fast mana while you guys pile on your favorite Dimir cards. Please let me know. And really, you can go outside of that ask as well. If there are other utilities you enjoy, let me know that are specific to Dimir. I think I might even go with some color fixing rocks. I don't know how hard we go into like the Arcane Signet territory, but we could. I do think we will ultimately rely on a Ad Nauseam as well. We're not, we're not too far removed from the filthy Ad Naus player, I think, with Talion here. Sorry, I'm trying to do mana rocks. I know I'm jumping around. And if we're gonna do that, we probably want this Ingrim Monolith as well. What did I miss? I missed Lotus Petal, and I think Jeweled Lotus is probably good, right? Dark Ritual. I'm gonna get some of the rituals in here as well. Did I put 2 L's there? I did put 2 L's there. Dark Ritual and Cabal Ritual. Culling the Weak. It's pretty good. Okay. I do not like Dark Confidant. Do you not? I would rather play some big stuff in this deck like this. The big stuff like Orcish Bowmasters. Those are going to go in, as well as Opposition Agent. There's just some cards you just play. Hey, Tylor. Hello. Hello. Git Probe. Gitaxian Probe is kind of like any blue deck. I'm with you, though. We'll put Git Probe in. Necropotence, you say. Necropotence is better, quote-unquote, draw. Is that what you're suggesting? Fact or Fiction. Halo. So there's one I've not heard of. Halo Forager? Halo Forager. Oh, what was the new... Did someone mention it off the bat? The new fairy that draws? There's a new fairy. It's blue. I don't know how much more draw we need outside of Command Zone. I do want a few things, but let me know that fairy. I feel like that one might be decent. But Halo Forager. When Halo Forager enters the battlefield, you may pay X. When you do, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with a mana value of X from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. This spell will be cast this way. So it's essentially a Snapcaster Mage, but slower. Do we like it because it's a fairy? Or do we just like it as an additional, like, Snapcaster? It gains flashback. This one specifically says you may pay X. When you do, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with a mana value of X from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. I see. This does help cheat out the cost a little bit too. I would say Snapcaster is probably generally more reliable. Being less mana gives you the colored pips you need to pay for the flashback. Anyhow, I don't dislike this though. That's kind of cool. I've not seen that. Fairy Mastermind, thank you. And I do think someone mentioned it earlier, but I think Fairy Mastermind's not bad draw. All right, whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you may draw a card. generally speaking, that happens a lot. What's interesting is, as well, is if we do go an infinite mana route with some form of strategy, again, it could be dramatic reversal on Isochron Scepter with our mana rocks. We could, over top of someone trying to like stop it, because we're going to make them draw their deck. If we had a way to shuffle our stuff back, anything would do this. We can make people deck themselves, which is kind of a cool way to have like an outlet fixed to a potential draw utility. I kind of like this better than Dark Confidant, actually. I'll say that. Mind you, I don't think you go for that unless you've lost your other outlet, which would be Thassa's Oracle. So like someone Praetor's Grasp your Thassa's Oracle or something, because they will likely also be running a strategy that wants it. That's not crazy. Halo Forger can get from opponents. Oh, is that? Oh. Fairy Mastermind, Fairy Master. Thank you. Notion Thief, more fun to mere jank. Is Notion Thief jank? Notion Thief is good when someone rolls out a wheel, which I think is still relatively common. I don't personally play for wheels. I do not like wheels. I've sold all my wheels. A fortune. Not for a fortune though. They are a small fortune now. They were not when I sold them, sadly. Notion Thief is fine. I'm gonna put Notion Thief on the sideboard. I feel like if your group runs wheels, then yeah, Notion Thief is good. It's also just stops draw outside of the first draw every turn, so that's not so crazy. That's not so bad. Fairy Mastermind's in there. I like it. Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths. Sorry, I also want to look at this. You may pay when you do cast into a sorcery card from a graveyard. That's important. Oh, didn't Fairy Mastermind come out in the same set? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, it did. Let's put Halo Forger in the sideboard for now. I'm not sure it's main board worthy yet, but that's pretty damn cool because it's not too unlike. And this is red, mind you. It's not too unlike Direfleet Daredevil. Exile target enter a sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast it this turn. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast a spell. All right, so this is red's way of doing the same thing. I like putting Direfleet Daredevil like in a lot of lists. It's severely underrated. It is 2 CMC as opposed to 3 CMC, mind you. It's also a 3/1 flyer, which is pretty good at smacking face, I gotta say. And Atris was one we mentioned. We'll look at that. When Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. That's so quirky. I can see this being really good with flicker effects, but we're not really rolling with any personally. Although, I gotta say, for adjusting numbers with Talion, that's kind of cool to just have the flicker effects. Moreover, just having a clone effect, excuse me. You would have to be very predictive about it because it's whenever they cast it. But you could flicker this in advance and like reset your number. That's kind of cool. Don't know if I'm leaning into Ad Nauseam, but Street Wraith is solid. Ben, I do like Street Wraith. Street Wraith's kind of like a free draw, essentially. If you guys haven't seen this card. Cycle, pay 2 life. Essentially, you just get to not only one fill your graveyard, but you replace it. So it's not horrible. If you need stuff in the graveyard, it's a free card. Generally speaking, we're on Ad Nauseam. As a matter of fact, I think I put Ad Nauseam here. Let me make sure we're not missing any of our fast mana suite. I think we got pretty much the heavy hitters here. Arcane Signet, Grim Monolith, Jeweled Lotus, Lotus Petal Mana, Crypt Mana Vault, Mox Diamond. We need Chrome Mox, Mox Opal, Soul Ring, Wishclaw Talisman for tutoring. Yeah, let's put Chrome Mox in there. And I don't think I missed anything else. We're not going to go with Mox Amber. Choop. Chrome Mox. Okay. I believe Notion Chief is really only good on Dimir colors only. The color pips make it not as desirable to run over other value cards in 3+ colored decks, says B-Ran. Although you'll hate this, but Defense Grid probably. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It really depends. I get what you're saying though, like to help you combo off. I know people will generally rely on Defense Grid as an alternative to, if they don't have it, the color accessible Grand Abolisher. Defense Grid can kind of do the same thing, bearing in mind that it also affects you off turn. So you can't do the same thing where you just play Grand Abolisher and pass comfortably. Like, oh, I'm not trying to win here. It's okay. If you do that with Defense Grid, it's like, oh, did I just give this person the game? It can do that. It can do that. And that is bad. So it's a maybe. I don't know. What it does to your opponents is it makes them have to answer it before you try to go off, right? Because if they're tapped out and they're just holding their free counter, right? Unless multiple people have free counters or deflecting swats or whatever might shape the game in this moment, it's not. It could be bad for them to just let it slide. It could also just be bad for you if you mess up your math. Don't mess up your math when you're playing Defense Grid. I don't mind Defense Grid, though. I do think that a lot of this deck will be control, though. I think you're going to sit back and use a lot of control magic to dictate the game. Part of me... we'll put Thassa's Oracle in. We'll put Thassa's Oracle in. We'll also put in Mnemonic Betrayal... Is mnemonic? How do you spell mnemonic? Is that it? Is that not it? Oh god, I don't remember how to spell mnemonic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mnemonic. It's mnemonic. Mnemonic. Mnemonic Betrayal is pretty damn good. So we're gonna want to roll with Mnemonic Betrayal in Dimir. It's kind of one of the better tricks Dimir has up its sleeve. I like this effect. So this is really good for helping you storm off turn, or on turn rather. I guess if we use Born Upon a Wind, we could do it off turn, but are we? I mean, the fact that in my mind, I imagine us drawing quite a few cards. So maybe a Born Upon a Wind off turn when the time is right kind of strategy makes sense, but this is a counterbalance deck. So what's being suggested here by Dasa is the fact that we're going to be drawing and like manipulating top deck kind of sort of quite a bit, or just at least adjusting what's there. That complementary cards like Sensei's Divining Top or look at the top 3 cards, put them back in any order, right? So what we can do is if we're rolling with and we probably do want. We're on Mox Opal, so we probably do want a certain influx of... Yeah, we're going to go with a Tainted Pack mana base, and we're going to add Tainted Pack as a side option to Demonic Consultation, which means that I kind of want to put in the artifact lands. I forget what they're called, but we could put them in, and that's going to... We have 4 and 6, I believe, islands and swamps, respectively. 6 islands, 4 swamps. But we want more artifacts to make sure we hit the artifact count for Mox Opal. Divining Top's fine. Counterbalance, though, what's important here is whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. This is a trigger, so you're able to interact with this. If you're, when they cast the spell, it should say cast, right? Like this revised text here. What you can do is, if you know what's on top, you could order it such that Counterbalance goes off first, and then you draw with Talion. Right, or you can, in response to the trigger, use a Sensei's Divining Top or a Scroll Rack or whatever is going to let you manipulate your top deck to give you the solution to counter. I kind of like Counterbalance here quite a bit. This isn't a May, by the way, just to confirm with everyone. When Talion does this, you can actually deck yourself. So this is where Talion as a Thassa's Oracle commander, I was just thinking about this, is probably not the greatest. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value, power, or toughness equal to the number chosen, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. None of this is a choice. So you need to make sure, and please make certain, that they don't have a way to retaliate and muck up your play. right? You might want to kill Talion before you go off. Actually, yes, you're gonna want to sacrifice. You're gonna want a culling ritual. You're gonna want to get rid of Talion. Sacrifice is actually good here on Talion. Let's commit to that. We definitely need to kill Talion before we go off. In particular, if you're trying to win with Thassa's Oracle, because you do not want someone to just like kill you before you go off. So roll Counterbalance into Bolas's Citadel infinite draw combo. Chris, is there a particular line that I'm unawares of? What is the Bolas's Citadel? What is this strategy you speak of? Bolas's Citadel is a very popular Storm card, by the way, guys, if you don't know it. It's pretty damn good. I don't know if you necessarily want to roll with it when you're ad nauseing. Maybe in mono black. We're gonna have a lot of expensive cards that are just here because they have to be here, like Force of Will and such. I don't know how much I want to add to that pile. But Bolas's Citadel is kind of cool because you can look at the top of your deck anytime. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast it, you may spend life instead of mana to pay for its mana cost. And then you can sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. That can kind of help conclude games, but that's not generally what you're doing to win. Sensei's top, Bolas's Citadel. Oh. Roll counter balance into Bolas's Citadel infinite draw combo. So you can play Sensei's Dividing Top off the top of your deck with this. Right. I'm gonna put Sensei's Dividing Top in. And I like the idea. I'm not sure I want to mainline it right now, but I will put Bolas's Citadel on the side for anyone who wants to roll with it. I would rather do Adnaz Demonic Thassa, right? No, I think that I'm with you there. We only have one out right now. Bear in mind, it might... Right now, the deck wins off one thing. Right now, the deck wins off one thing, and that thing is Thassa's Oracle. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we do have a potential outlet with Fairy Mastermind if we were going for infinite mana. We're not, but we could. It does require a little bit of effort on our parts to make sure that we don't deck ourselves in this instance. But we could do that. I think that Defense Grid is not a bad idea here. That's why it's on the main. Because we're going to do an Adnaz thing and we're going to push for a win. And we're probably going to want to put down some form of countermeasure so that we don't die to Kindly Lord. Again, we're going to rely on Sacrifice and Culling Ritual to nix Talion if we've Adnazed. Like, that might be one of the first things we do. Not one of the first things we do. We'll make sure we do that before we go Thassa's Oracle, hold priority, Demonic Consultation, or wait for the trigger to occur and then go for it. How about Shieldred makes the top combo complete? Is this Shieldred is the new one? I don't know if there's I don't know any Shieldred combos. Let me see here. Sacrifice non-token creature, exile. Do you mean this one? Is there whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. Let me know which Shieldred you're referring to. Bloodchief Mindcrank is easy. Bloodchief Mindcrank. Bloodchief Ascension. Well, let's look at Mindcrank first. Mindcrank's an artifact that we've all likely seen, but probably don't look at too much. Whenever an opponent loses life, that player mills that many cards. And the Bloodchief Ascension. Boop. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, Bloodchief has 3 or more quest counters on it. What's nice about Bloodchief Ascension in this list is the fact that we're able to fuel it very quickly with Talion's ability. So at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, put a quest counter on Bloodchief Ascension, we have that magic number down. Talion is doing 2. I hate that it's the beginning of each end step, so it's not like it happens quickly. You do need to get to 3 or more quest counters on here to get the ball rolling on that triggered effect, and you have to rely on this being out prior. So you're kind of broadcasting the fact that you're going for a Blood Chief Ascension. Generally, this is not played for value. Let me start there. Blood Chief Ascension is a very definite combo card, and unless you have a way to manipulate the counters on it, you're not going to get there quickly. And it just needs 3 or more. So again, you are broadcasting. I think it's a little slow for me. It's not bad though. Also, deck seems like chip damage, right? The 4-mana Shieldred. Shieldred, the Apocalypse gets you top life back when you combo with Citadel. Oh, I'm not on, I don't know if I'm on Citadel, but let me put this Shieldred in the sideboard then. I'm so late as usual. It's okay. How's the deck tech going, Pat? Pretty well. Pretty well, Blood. I would say it's going pretty darn well. I'm liking this legendary a lot. I don't know how much better this is going to be over any other Dimir list, but I do think if you play for it early, you're going to get a lot of value in, in the form of draw and life loss on your opponents. And the life loss, again, is legit. Like, I don't think that is anything you should turn your nose up at. Okay? Really, consider the life loss. It's quite good. We're going to go Artifact Land. I just want to get our land base adjusted for a Tainted Pact. Do we use Snow-Covered Plains? Probably. Seat of Synod and Vault of Whispers. Cool. Seat of Synod. Vault of Whispers. Are there any other utility lands you guys really love that you think deserve to be in every list? Like, are there any good MDFC lands that I'm not thinking about in these colors? Let me know. I do want to fill out our land base, though. Might even be on City of Traders. I like City of Traders quite a bit. Especially if we need something to help us ramp on turn. Like, City of Traders could be our land drop off that ad nauseum turn just to put defense grid down, right? Give us the colorless we need to get the ball rolling on that. I'm not going to use the colorless artifact land. But again, this is all really just to make sure we hit our Mox Opal artifact count, right? The threshold on that. When it comes to land base, though, I can't think of many blue utility lands. Like, nothing's really coming to mind for me. And so far as black is concerned, I don't want to give people swamps. Not really interested in using Yawgmoth, right? The Tomb of Yawgmoth, whatever it is. Don't want that. Oh, Otawara, these are the new... Are we building stacks? We're not necessarily building stacks, but we could certainly put the Void... Is it Voidwalker? Dothy Voidwalker? We'll put Dothy Voidwalker in there. We have Orcish Bowmasters and we have Opposition Agent in already, Blade, but like those are just good cards. Otawara. And I don't know if I know what Takanuma does. Is it just another... Let's look at it. We're on Ad Nauseam, yes. Cephalid Colosseum generally used in those Ad Naus builds if it's like 3 or under colors. Mill 3 cards and return target creature or planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. Huh. That's not horrible. Abandoned Mire. That's not horrible. That is, I would say, even playable. I like it. So I've just replaced 8 lands with 5 lands, I think. We need to fix that. We can put Cephalid Colosseum in as well. Is that the one that lets you draw or makes, like, forces someone to draw? Right. Yeah, we need 2 more lands to fill this out. And those 2 lands are just to expedite this. Again, there might be something better. I don't really know. Don't really play blue that often, but if you guys have options for me, throw them out there and we'll put them on the side. Yeah, that's it. Cool. Cephalid Colosseum, I'm lower on if I'm on Ad Nauseam. Well then, why did you recommend it? No, we're on Ad Nauseam though, and we're probably going to be on Peer into the Abyss as well, just because we're running with Culling Ritual, and we're Culling the Weak, rather. I think I put Culling Ritual in. No, I put Culling the Weak. Whew. And we're on Sacrifice, and that's half of PETA. That is more than half of PETA. Okay. Phyrexian Tower, Dasa. Mill bring back, not great. Yeah, let's do Phyrexian Tower. There you go. Phyrexian Tower. Another perfect reason for Phyrexian Tower is the simple fact that it kills Talion, which is essential. But where did it go? Takanuma. I don't hate Takanuma. I'm just gonna put it over here, okay? That doesn't mean I hate it. I'm so late I have no idea what this deck is. So here, we'll let's just get a wider overview of what the deck looks like, because we've got 26 slots to fill out and we've put no interaction in. I think I've slotted in our counterbalance. Okay. Whoa. Yeah, that's gnarly. Counterbalance is a good card, by the way, and that's the version you should use. That's sick as hell. Oh, that's so damn good. Okay, at any rate. So it's hard to tell the mana cost, though. You have to look at the center of the card. Is that what I'm saying? There's no downside to running Takanuma. I don't know why you wouldn't include it. It's just the effect. I understand what you're saying, though. I feel like I would rather the Phyrexian Tower, but we can, so far as like a black resource is concerned, if we sacrifice something, mind you. But we could take out the fast land if we want it. We could take out the Dark Slick Shores, or we could take out Cephalid Coliseum, sacrifice Cephalid Coliseum, target player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards. It's cute against Thassa's Oracle players, but it is a pain land, technically, right? You are losing 1 life when you use it. I would put in the Horizon land for this deck once it's unveiled for Dark Slick Shores. And I think we have the Battle Bond land in here as well. But you can adjust this mana base however you choose, honestly. Unless you're running back to basics. I see. No, we're not on back to basics whatsoever. We're on a Tainted Pact mana base right now. Right. I see Takamine has upgraded Swamp. I get that. We can do that. I want to be able to search these, so we can switch out Clearwater. We can switch out Dark Slick Shores for the Takanuma. Yeah, I wish that we had the full Horizon land suite. I don't know when they plan on dropping that for us, but it would be really nice to have the rest of them. Okay, this is everyone's favorite part. Give me your favorite stacks and your favorite interaction in Dimir. Namely, interaction. So we need to fill this up. Just pack it to the brim with good interaction off turn. So I like Maze Mine Trap. I'm gonna put that in there. Nope. Is it called Maze Mine Trap? Maze Trap? Maze Trap. What's the one? It's free. People just got on it now. I used to talk about it, thought it was good. Trap. Blue. Where is it? Mindbreak Trap. So we'll go with Mindbreak Trap. We'll go with Force of Will. Force of Negation. Fierce Guardianship. Talion will be out. Deadly Rollick is probably not good here. I just don't want too many things that are high costed. Mindbreak Trap, thank you, Dasva. This is not a City of Traders deck, I think. I think if you add Naz, any fast mana you can get is going to be good. Like, in my opinion, I like City of Traders here because you can roll into, if I ad nauseum and I need something to help propel me in my land base, if I don't hit, I would say Phyrexian Tower might be the #1 choice here. to help you ramp because it's giving you colored mana, honestly, I would put down City of Traders, right? Because it also doesn't affect you the same way Ancient Tomb does. Ancient Tomb is going to do 2 life to you. Anytime I need mana or ramp, I like City of Traders. And here, if I'm ad nauseing, I do need that. So I like it personally. You could take it out if you want, though. Both wars are free to cast with your commander. Offer you can't refuse. Offer you can't refuse. Yeah, I like that. Offer you can't refuse. I like Dispel. I like Miscast. I don't know. Hold on, Miscast, actually. I do like Dispel, though. I do like... Are there any specific Dimir ones you guys care about that I'm not going to think of that you want? Let me know. It's all misstep. It's all misstep. Cyclonic Rift is a good one. Chain of Vape. Chain of Vapor. But this will be bad as Adnan's deck. I think we have to think of it like a Nimrus deck. Nimrus. I've never seen Nimrus play it. Is that how you spell it? Either way. I think Spell Pierce for sure. Swan Song, Flusterstorm. Sorry, just leaving you guys room for this stuff. Drown in the Lock is fine. My qualm with it, I think, is just I mentioned it off the bat, but Drown is good. It's specifically Dimir, right? So counter target spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. That's very easy to do. Destroy target creature with a mana value. So it does 2 things we really want. I have Toxic Deluge in the deck. We need more removal. Chain of Vapor is not removal. I know people like to think of it as removal. It's not quite. I'd like some more hard removal, though. Let me know what your favorite black removal spells are. It's really slim pickings in black. The blue has some new removal, though, like actual removal that's decent. I forget the name of it. Like most of it like replaces their thing with another thing, like a token of some sort. Nimrus. Okay. Yeah, I've never seen Nimrus. Una's Trickster. Flash flying whenever you cast first spell each turn. Look at the top 2 cards. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I feel like Talion is probably better than this, right? Probably agree with that. I get what you're saying, though. Fierce Enforcer in. Would Hoarding Broodlord be better than Ad Nauseam in this deck? You know, so... I like going off strategy. I like going off strategy here. Like, off meta. I still want to keep Peer into the Abyss. If we don't do Ad Nauseam, what does that open us up for? It does open us up for Bolas the Citadel. I like the idea, though, better of doing a... We'll do... Oh, shoot. It's okay. It's easier to just go out. Let me do Hoarding Broodlord. I did put Mindbreak Trap in there. The one it's having issues with, of course. No, not that one. Okay. So, don't know how many cards we have quite yet. Wow, we've got 12 more slots. We need to add quite a bit more. Post Citadel? He has more than 1 card? Jeez Louise. Alright. I mean, if it sells, it sells. Oh shit, these are cool. Okay. We probably want more draw utilities outside of the command zone as well. I wouldn't mind considering some more. But Hoarding Broodlord is going to be an Entomb reanimate strategy, right? We're going to consider not Ad Nauseam. Where'd it go? Enchantment. Animate Dead. We can put in 1 more instant speed reanimate. It could be Shallow Grave is not a bad one. A Shallow Grave is pretty solid for this. If you guys don't know the Entomb Saw in Half combo, we've talked about it on the channel, but Hoarding Broodlord here plays really well into Peer into the Abyss, and if we feel like we're going to want to go slower and more control-based, I don't mind being off of Ad Nauseam and just focusing on really controlling the game. So, again, I do ask, what are your favorite stacks utilities? Like, what would you like to use on top of what we're already using? Preferably something that doesn't damn us to hell, but I do think we need to consider a few more stacks elements here. Like Dalthy Voidwalker's fine, Opposition Agent's fine. The blue ones I don't know or care for because I don't generally, I don't generally do blue in my free time. So let me know if there's anything that you can think of. No red. This deck will never be competitive Ad Nauseam main phase deck. We need to end step this just to have chance to go off with it. I think that any deck DOSA that plans for Ad Nauseam and is able to churn it out turn 1 will be a respectable Ad Nauseam deck. I will state, though, that I would prefer, just by virtue of the fact that Ad Nauseam is one of the best enablers in the game. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you have the deck built up for it, it will do fine. And Dimir is like the bar minimum for it. I'm not saying it's going to be the best at doing it, but Dimir is like bar minimum because it gives you the utilities to win. It gives you Thassa's Oracle, DC. Like you've got the basic setup going for you. However, bearing in mind that it will be slower than your average bear doing this thing, I would prefer we go for the Entomb Reanimate strategy, like was suggested with Hoarding Broodlord, and this makes it less relevant that we have high-costed things in our deck. So I will also consider putting Deadly Rollick in here, as well as any other high-costed spells you can think of. Like if you guys want to put in Snuff Out or any other removal you can think of that might be high-costed but has alternative costs, let me know. I do think Deadly Rollick is going to be fine, though, now. And let's see, Leyline of the Void is fine. Leyline of the Void is free, provided it's in your opening hand. Otherwise, it is a asymmetrical grave hate utility, right? So this is very much like Dalthy Voidwalker. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. This isn't bad. I don't mind it. It kills Underworld Breach. I feel like Rakdos, so far as 2 colors is concerned, yeah, I would say with all the rituals, Rakdos is probably better. I'm saying Dimir is bar minimum for doing this. Did I say it's the best? Because you could do Underworld Breach ad Naus, which is probably more respectable and easier to get to than Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation. You do have all the tutors for it, but like getting there is difficult. Underworld Breach is better off of the ad Naus for sure. Snuff Out is great. I could be wrong, but I do love where this deck is going right now. I could be wrong. No, you're right. You're right. I love where it's going too. You're totally right. We'll put Snuff Out in. Let's save it and see where we're at. I did want to put in maybe like a Felwar Stone. Yeah. Why not? It's weird because I did just take out Ad Nauseam, but we are still relying on PETA, so I still want the mana fixing and I still want the Grim Monolith. I don't know if I go any harder than Arcane Signet and Felwar Stone, though. Yeah, of course. Cursed Totem is good. Cursed Totem's good. Cursed Totem is good. Cursed Totem's not really used, though. We'll put Leyline of the Void in as well. I like Leyline of the Void enough. It's just a difficult hard cast, mind you. Activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. I don't think we care about this, right? It does shut down a handful of things. Usually it's ETBs that are the most threatening, right? It is genuinely creatures entering the battlefield that's more threatening than creatures activating themselves. Like, you're going to stop some Dorks, you're going to stop some Rathioses. It's fine. Are there any Planeswalkers you guys want to include? Like, what's that girl who's kicking things all the time? What's her name? We can include her. The new 2-mana instant from LOTR is good. Derpy, do you remember the new 2-mana instant? How about we breach the multiverse? How about we breach the multiverse? What is breach? Is this a breach? We can use Praetor's Grasp. We can use Praetor's Grasp to steal an Underworld Breach. How about that? Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in their graveyard. Put those cards on the battlefield under control. You know, if we did Hoarding Broodlord, we could just skip Peer into the Abyss and do this, I guess. Like if we're feeling really cheeky, sure. Narset, thank you. The girl is always kicking things. I'm glad that that description was enough for you all to see what I mean. She's well, okay. Well, she's maybe not kicking things all the time, but at least here, there's a good indicator. She kicks things. This is the one I was referring to, though. She's not kicking anything here. Can't draw more than one card each turn. Pretty slick. If we're... I honestly think Talion will be a good blocker for this. If we're trying to do the Staxy thing, is what I'm saying. I think Narset's good. Are we on as many tutors as we can be? Sorry, part of it fails. Because I really want to get to Counterbalance. Like Counterbalance just looks like a fun strategy. Also, I know people mentioned it. If we really want it, we can put the One Ring in here. And if you would also like, we could consider some artifact tutors for the sole fact that we could pump out the One Ring pretty easily, should we like any of the ones where like a resculpt, reshape, whatever it is, anything that lets you just pour mana into a thing to get the other thing. I don't think that's a bad idea. Is it reshape? Is additional cost sacrifice an artifact, convert a mana X or less and put it onto the battlefield? What's better, that or transmute artifact? Isn't the math different? Like, sacrifice an artifact if you do search your library for artifacts. No. Well, convert mana costs is less than or equal to the sacrifice artifacts thing. So this lets you pay the difference. Reshape makes you pay the total. Ooh. So reshape is not as good because if I want to get the One Ring out with reshape, that means I need to pay 6 total. If I want to play the One Ring out with transmute artifact, I sacrifice whatever, and then I can pay the difference. So it could be Grim Monolith. You tap Grim Monolith, and then you have a additional generic floating off of that, which is not horrible. War of Invention. Yeah, tons of suggestions in the comments. Oh, here. Okay. Narset. It can give everything flash. It can give everything flash. Born Upon a Wind. Right. So Born Upon a Wind, yes. Because we're not on Ad Nauseam, which is the instant speed way of doing it, and Peer into the Abyss is sorcery speed, we could do a Born Upon the Wind thing. If we know... I don't foresee us easily winning over top of someone, but I like where your head's at. I don't know if I really want Born Upon a Wind. Worse Yogg's Will. I like Yogg's Will. Is this a good Chain of Mephistopheles deck? I don't know. Maybe? The card is always better than I think. Born Upon a Wind or Narset. Did I put Narset in? We did put Narset in. Okay, Sakashima Imposter I think is better than Sakashima for this deck. Did I not? Which Sakashima did I put in? Comes into play, you may choose a creature and play. If you do, Sakashima comes a copy of that creature, except it's Sakashima the Imposter. It's still legendary. It's still legendary, and it gains return Sakashima the Imposter to its owner's hand at the end of turn. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think that I can agree with that. That's a weird effect, isn't it? The returning it to hand. Because it maintains its name, it's fine. The legend rule not applying to us, what I like about it is we put other clone effects into the deck. We could run both, honestly, but this is a whole separate thing. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. So that fact alone means we could play our Phyrexian Metamorph and get it to be Talion as well when this Sakashima is down, not the other one. We could do both though if you guys want. Sakashima the Imposter is fine. I don't really care. War of Invention. We'll put War of Invention down. War of Invention. Let's just see if the One Ring is good in every list. And Transmute Artifacts. I think Liliana and Chain of Smog would be good combo here. This is Oppression bad for this deck. Let me look up. So I own this card. I played this card. You're referring to the mono black like school teacher, Liliana. We don't have two win cons in the deck. Right now we only have Thassa's Oracle. That's the win con. The other win con or out for this list is a Mnemonic Betrayal, provided we've stopped someone else from winning, or a Praetor's Grasp for someone else's solution. So it's like we technically have other outs. We don't necessarily need an additional one. I would just base the deck on a Sir Q list. I've not seen Sir Q play, so I'll have to take your word on that. Are we referring to this Ashiok? Spells and abilities your opponent's control can't cause their control to search their library. We can roll with this Ashiok as well if you want. Ashiok Dreamrender. I don't mind that. I assume that's the one you're referring to. I don't know if any of the other ones are playable. No offense, Ashiok. But yeah. I'm late, but I'm here. Shane C. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Shane C. Let's see how many cards we have. We might be over 100. No, we're exactly 100. Look at that. Look at us. Okay, so we've got Chrome Mox, Jeweled Lotus, Lotus Petal, Mana Crypt, Mox Diamond, Mox Sobel, all the good stuff. Mana Vault, Sensei's Divining Top, Soul Ring. Why Sensei's Divining Top? Because we're a counterbalance deck, suckers. Arcane Signet, Defense Grid. Defense Grid is still going to be good off Peer into the Abyss. Felwar Stone, Grim Monolith, and Wishclaw's Houseman. We don't need that much mana fixing, but it will be helpful to have both of these two CMC rocks. It also is not just a bad like early turn play off a Soul Ring, hopefully. And we have the One Ring because you know what? Why not? Hopefully the Chance is actually a good idea because Pact plus Oracle is way better. I don't mind the suggestion. I do think that our number, oh my god, look at, ooh, it's gold bordered now. Ooh, so now we know with certainty that this is our commander. Did it get darker in here? Let's change that for you. There you go. Yeah, you can see my face. See my face again. Look at it. Okay, so we're a Hoarding Broodlord setup for this deck. Hoarding Broodlord, oh my, we need, before we continue, we do need to add one more tutor. And I asked you, I'm like, are we off of any good tutors? And no one said Unmarked Grave. You know, just left me hanging. I'm joking. It's fine. It's cool. It's whatever. I want to put Shallow Grave in there too, I think. We'll see. Let's do this. Do this. I don't know if our counter suite is amazing, but we'll look at it in a second. So this all looks fine to me. The artifacts look fine. So far as creatures are concerned, I know there are some thoughts and feelings on Dark Confidant. Oh, wait. So we want to go full Clone Wars, apparently. Well, we got a couple of clones in here. What I really wanted to drive at, though, was do we want to remove Dark Confidant? Dark Confidant? Yes? Or no? Let me know. I'm curious as to your thoughts and feelings on the Dark Confidant. Is he still in your heart? Does he still hold a special place in your heart? Let me know. I'm late, but I'm here. It's good to see you. Do you like Muddle the Mixture in this deck? Muddle the Mixture will let us find... Oh, actually, do I like Muddle the Mixture? I think I do like Muddle the Mixture. I know we're in black. I know we've got better tutors, but I love redundancy when I can have it. And I don't mind hitting Animate Dead or Counterbalance. I don't mind hitting Arthas's Oracle, I suppose, when we need it. I really don't mind these things. This might be a Muddle the Mixture list. I don't know what we take out for it in its place. So far as clone effects are concerned, we have Phyrexian Metamorph, we have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces, and we have, I thought we had another, Phantasmal Image. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 clone effects. That's probably more than adequate, but we're also rolling with Arenicus's Vile Duplication. Correct me if I said that wrong. Arenicus's. It's essentially the same thing as our Sakashima here, right? Except it's a flyer as well, which is kind of cool. So if you don't know the Hoarding Broodlord combo, what we're going to do is Entomb or Unmarked Grave and reanimate Hoarding Broodlord. Hoarding Broodlord is going to go ahead and find Saw in Half, which I think I put in the list right there. Saw in Half is going to make 2 copies of our Hoarding Broodlord, except the power defense value half rounded up, right? Cool. Less relevant. We're not really too concerned with that. The other thing we're going to grab is Sacrifice, which is also instant speed. Sacrifice. And we'll also grab our Peer into the Abyss. This is going to give us the mana requisite to cast all of that, and then some, actually. So it's a copyable value, the mana cost of a creature. So we'll have 9 black to do this. Also bear in mind that it has Convoke, so we're able to use Hoarding Broodlord to help pay for all these black spells. So once we've built up our hand, we'll use any sort of mana we have left over to play out our fast mana. Fellwar Stone, Arcane Signet are going to help us get blue, and then obviously we'll play out anything else to help us propel into a win. It could either be just a flat out mnemonic, flat out Thassa's Oracle, DC Tainted Pact, or Mnemonic Betrayal to help us get to the win, provided our opponents had failed. Hopefully we are pushing to make them fail, because this is going to be a little bit slower of a strategy. I do think we're going to want to rely on some clones. I'm not sure we need all of these clones. I'm maybe not as high on Phyrexian Metamorph, but we've got 4 clones in this deck, and that feels full-on Clone Wars enough. We have 3 reanimate spells. I might be off of one of them. We've got Animate Dead, which is fine, sort of the classic. But we also have Shallow Grave, and we also have Reanimate. Reanimate's sorcery speed, we all know. Shallow Grave says put the top creature card from your graveyard into play as though it were just played. It's old wording. Basically, this does care about the order of your graveyard. So if you're on Shallow Grave, don't reorganize your graveyard. But it'll let us play the creature we placed on top. If we Entombed or an Unmarked Grave Dread Hoard, a Hoarding Broodlord, excuse me, then we'll be able to Shallow Grave it at instant speed. What I like about this with Entomb is that you can do it instantaneously, and Saw in Half and all this, almost nearly everything else is instant speed. Ad Nauseam would have been instant speed to help us get to the win. We could rely on Born Upon a Wind if we really want to go instant speed wins in this deck, and I don't think that's a cute idea. I think it's actually a legitimate idea. I don't know why Ashiok is gold bordered. I was thinking that our commanders were gold bordered, but I guess they're just gold bordering the things that are dual colored. Is that the idea? Yeah. That's lame. That's cool, but that's also lame. At any rate, hopefully that helps you understand what the deck is trying to do or wants to do, so that we can go into our Goldfishing with a general idea of what we want to do when we're playing this. All right. I do like Muddle the Mixture, by the way, Blood. Sorry, I don't know if I answered that. Muddle the Mixture is fine since it's not a 0/5 on the other side, right? What the hell? Are you mocking my Drift of Phantasms again? Are you mocking my Drift of Phantasms again? Right, I'm a fan of Limdol's Vaults. Limdol's Vaults, yes. No, I'm a fan of Limdol's Vault too. Let's put Muddle the Mixture and Limdol's Vault in. That is a staple in my mind, by the way. Good call. Limdol's Vault. Is it one word? No. Just come up. Oh, Lumdol. Different guy. Whoops. I do like Limdol's Vault, and I do like Muddle the Mixture in this list quite a bit. What's the best case when we clone our commander, and what's the worst case? To be honest with you, it feels a little overkill. And I also feel like we're sort of departing from... When I have the one ring in a deck, I feel like that should be plan A. It's just that good of draw. It's just that good. So the other sub-strategy that's existing in this deck right now is the fact that we want to clone and double down on the numbers. We want to do what Talion's doing. What I can say about this list is it favors Talion because Talion is in the command zone. So I almost feel like the One Ring here is a little bit of a distraction, because I will personally look to transmute the One Ring, and I will do everything I can to get the One Ring out if I see it's favorable for me. I kind of want these to be the things we remove to just get us on track to like focus out cloning Talion, because I do think that is a good strategy. So I'm going to get rid of that, So that frees up 2 slots in our list. What is the best case scenario? I mean, the ceiling really is just using, to me, 2 Talions is enough. I think if you had 1 Talion on 1 Talion on 2, that's enough. Like, you're going to hit so much, you should draw a lot. I don't think we need as many clones as we have. And I couldn't tell you which one I would focus on first. I think that maybe we switch to the other Sakashima. I maybe get rid of Phyrexian Metamorph. I would say maybe we get rid of Phyrexian Metamorph and the Vile Duplication. Yeah. Do we like that, hate that? I don't know if we need that many clone effects in the list, personally speaking. I still want Leyline of the Void. I like our instant suite. I think this is a pretty good package. Word of Invention was another artifacts tool. Search your library for an artifact card with a red equals X and put it onto the battlefield. So I'm off of Word of Invention, and then maybe we keep one more than I had suggested. I think maybe we keep, what the hell? Oh, that's why. Whoops. Phyrexian Metamorph is better than Vile Duplication. We could probably all agree with that. Although if we only care about duplicating Talion, then Vile Duplication is just better. Right? And Phantasmal Image is there as a secondary utility that could go over top of Sakashima, and honestly would maybe name, I don't know if 3 is going to be as common. 3 pops up in the defense value of a lot of cards, so maybe. At any rate, Phantasmal Image is just there because it's good value. Like, we're probably going to want to use Phantasmal Image to just copy a Dockside. We didn't add any interesting flicker or return to hand effects like Snap or anything like that. We could if we wanted to. We're really just trying to control out the board with some of our utilities and then play our own win in our own time. So this is, again, it's like a counterpuncher. It's reactive. We're not trying to win outright first. I think that the setup is fine, though. All right. Why there's artifact tutors? Well, I think I might have in my rant suggested why there's artifact tutors. What is the best case when we clone our commander? What is the worst case? All right. Definitely answered that. Lavino says I run Drift of Phantasms in Narmea. Yeah, no, that's really the only list. Good thought process. Love Fimage. I think Fimage is gonna be good. So on that note, thanks for joining me for the Brew All. It's that final point where we see if Talion makes any sense as your next cEDH list. Let's hope it does. If you just joined, thanks for joining me. I'm going to take a sip of my iced coffee, and while I do that, if you'd like to smack that heart button, hit the like, share this with your granny. Again, I just want more grandmas watching this program. Please do, but let's check this out and see if it's any good. Again, we're going to have to do a lot. We're going to have to do a lot of guessing to figure out if we're getting that much draw here, but let's be somewhat generous with, if we get a turn 1 Talion, I'd say we can be somewhat generous with how much we'll actually draw. Blood, I think that Ashiok did make it. Dream Render? Spells and abilities your opponents control that cause their controller to search your library don't, right? Right. So there's this, and we also have Oppo Agent. Oppo Agent. Oppo Agent? Does anyone say Oppo Agent? If that was Jeweled Lotus, I would keep this hand. I kind of just want to mull to a Jeweled Lotus hand to see what that feels like. Okay. Here. You see it's right there. It's right there. Okay, so we have a Pathway land. We have a City of Ass. We got a Polluted Delt. We got a Jeweled Lotus. I think we just start with Jeweled Lotus to see if it's safe, right? We're like, is that cool? Is everyone cool with me doing Jeweled Lotus? All right, cool. Thanks. Oh, I should draw a card too. Whatever. We're going to do the Polluted Delts. We're going to show them we got money. Maybe not Post Malone money, but we got a little bit of money. We're going to go to Underground Sea. I will use this for black because we all know blue is probably the most important color in Magic. And we'll cast Talion. Talion, ETBs, we're going to use the poison counters up here to indicate that we care about 2. The number 2 is what we care about. We want to draw and pain you, shock you with 2. So on that note, we'll pass. Shuffle. But what are people casting early turn? What are people getting under their hands early turn? To be honest, the first turns are generally like your fast mana suite. Maybe someone is able to ramp into their commander at 2 CMC. Tymna's 3 last time I checked. Thrasios is technically 2, right? What are some, if you're playing against me, I likely have a turn 1 Oswald because that's what I usually keep. Particularly because we want to get the 1 ring out and Oswald just does that. Let's just say we're playing against me. You get 1 draw off of Oswald entering the battlefield. Cool. So we've got I don't know why, but we have a Thrasios player. People play Thrasios still? Okay, we're going to draw off that. Why are you playing into my Talion? That's crazy. And another player plays a Soul Ring into a Signet. Okay, is that fair? Okay, that seems fair. I felt like that was fair. Limdale's Vault. Man, I haven't played this card in ages. I didn't realize there was a new version of it. With top 5 cards in your library, as many cards as you choose, you only pay 1 life. This is just really good for getting to the solution you need. Oh my god. When you need it. Alright. Can we get greedy and play Chalice? Chalice of the Void, Jim Wolfie? The Ash Shock that prevents opponents from shooting. Oh my god, I run Chalice in this. I would so run Chalice in this. Chalice of the Void. Do we really want Chalice of the Void? We can add it. So Chalice of the Void would be funny because we could also just counter the spell. We could say it's 4 mana total, right? So you do 2 and 2. You could say, okay, yeah, let's counter that, and they wouldn't play the 2s. So you would really just like dictate the rest of what they could potentially be playing here. I would put Chalice at 0 because it's the one thing we can't name, honestly. Like I wouldn't mind just going vanilla Chalice. You can't play your fast mana. Make sure I play mine first. And then, get away with it. Flinman Limduel, is that what that is? Is that from a TV series? All right. Tymna is a 2/2. Oh, Tymna is a 2 extra draw. Extra draw. You're right. Tymna is a 2/2. Tymna, it's so crazy to me to think that this is the mana value. I'm old school. I still say CMC. Power and toughness. You're absolutely right. Tymna is a 2/2. I would Chalice for 0. Absolutely, yes. I think this hits power and toughness. Ben Rubens, it does. It does hit power and toughness. Okay, so I think that was enough draw off turn. I think that was reasonable amount of draw, right? Again, all goldfishing, we really don't know the truth. We don't know the truth here. What would have been really sweet would have been seeing some damned fast mana, like just to help us going here. We're probably going to want to hold some form of interaction. I think that Arcane Signet into a Mystical Tutor is not the worst thing in the world, because if we, hear me out, if I do Arcane Signet here, I dump my hand for the Signet, I can give myself Mystical Tutor. So someone casts something that's problematic and I don't have a counterspell in hand, you might notice. I can, while the draw triggers on the stack, provided they've done something that gives me the draw, I can use this in response to get the thing I need on top of my deck. So I don't think playing Arcane Signet out here is bad. It also gives us a, one less thing to actually discard here. We're gonna get rid of the Cephalid Colosseum, and we'll get rid of, wow, we're gonna get rid of the Dark Confidant. I like Limdil's Vault better. I like Orcish Masters better. I like Phantasmal Image for the Dockside, I'm suspecting. I like Mystical Tutor for the same reasons I just mentioned. Sakashima plays into our general strategy. It's going to say 1. And we need a land for next turn, and I think this is better than Cephalid Colosseum. So, sure. So we're going to get a draw. Oh god, not what we wanted to see. We're going to get another draw. Ooh, actually, wow. Did I just Hoarding Broodlord and reanimate? Let's just say we only get 2 draws this next round. How sad. I do want to use Mystical Tutor off turn to find an instant and or sorcery. This is awkward that we have Hoarding Broodlord in our hand. We want to discard it down at end of turn. I don't think we have anything in this deck that makes us discard on turn, sadly. I don't think I have anything that makes me discard on turn. I really wish I just inserted something to get this reanimate target out of my hand. What? No. There's nothing. I don't have anything. I just jumped on because of work. To be clear, is there a combo or a silver bullet? Or are we praying for 2 CMC being so prevalent? 2 CMC just is prevalent. There's no, there is a combo to the deck, Tim, and I couldn't say that there's any silver bullets for this strategy. Are you saying against us, or we have silver bullets for other people? Counter spell, counter magic, silver bullet. Count CMC and power and toughness, yeah. There's so much lag. TLDR, the idea is to force them onto a specific CMC. You play Chalice 0, 1, or 2. Yeah. Unrelated, but with all the draw hate, I should play Bob in Blue Farm. True. All right, so what do we Mystical Tutor up, folks? It ain't going to be Chalice of the Void, okay? I think we honestly just Mystical Tutor some form of solution for ourselves. Maybe that Force of Will. Just to get that out of the way. Can we just hard cast him? Could we? If we grabbed Sacrifice, if we grabbed we don't want Sacrifice. If we grabbed Culling the Weak, we can convoke. Hold up. We can convoke cast this as additional cost. It's 8 mana to cast. It's asking a lot. It is asking a lot, to be honest. He does have convoke, yes. But the best way to power this out with this Mystical Tutor I'm using right now is going to be the Culling the Weak. And we would have to kill Talion to do this. Yes, because reanimate. Oh, you're suggesting we just reanimate Talion? Can I the convoke is less. I don't think we're at Cabal Ritual territory yet, though. I get what you're saying. All right, which is the best piece of ramp? I honestly still feel like Culling the Weak is still the best. We do have Cabal Ritual on the list. We should. We do. Threshold is 7. Culling the Weak gives us 4 for 1, which is 3 net. No, you go for the combo. You go for the combo. You just want me to put Peer into the Abyss in hand, or you just want me to put Demonic Consultation in hand? Demonic Consultation or here. So the combo is Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation. Lindell's Vault can find Thassa's Oracle, right? Then shuffle and put those cards this way on top of your deck in any order. I think that we get... I would honestly rather discard down, set up Limdill's Vault off turn, and just have interaction. And then play for Hoarding Broodlord later. It's just simpler. If there is a better play line, feel free to comment on it. I'm sure people in the audience would want to know. But we'll shuffle, 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 put that on top, draw. Okay, so Clearwater Pathway, it's probably going to be blue. So I'll leave it right there. We have options here, but I obviously don't want to play because I want to discard this out of my hand. I almost feel like some form of discard utility would be nice, but I don't care enough to include anything. Calling into Broodlord, into Sacrifice, into Reanimate, into Saw, into Darkroot, then Pure. It does, my issue with going for Adasa is just the fact that we don't really have any counter interaction, like provided someone wants to stop us. Although I gotta say, putting Hoarding Broodlord just in the grave like that can be pretty damning. Like, I would do something about it for sure. However, we elected to do it this way. And we got Force of Will, so we can stop them, I guess, if they really decide to mess with us. We're able to do both Fairy Mastermind and Orcish Bowmasters off turn, so let's just go ahead and do Orcish Bowmasters. Someone's doing something nutty. We're going to make this thing, kill a thing. I foresee Orcish Bowmasters being around, like, the Orc army being around, like, a 5 or 4, minimally, by the time our turn rolls around again. We will use also Fairy Mastermind in the same vein that Orcish Bowmasters is sending us value. We use Fairy Mastermind off turn to get value as well. You know, truth be told, if Phantasmal Image, if there was a Dockside Extortionist, we could have used Phantasmal Image to also net us stuff. But we're going to get some draw off turn. I can imagine, again, at least 3 draw off turn with Fairy Mastermind and Talion there. Sakashima feels less relevant to play. I'm not really looking to play. It's weird. We're in Dimir, but I'm just seeing a lot of value in our hands, so I'm not really seeing myself wanting to play out Sakashima. Let's pretend we have to use Force of Will to keep the ball rolling on our own strategy here. Let's use Sakashima for this. Cool. And next turn. Cool. So we got Seed of Sign-On. Let's not play our land per turn yet. Let's try to leave up mana for Drown in the Loch. Yeah, just go for this and this. Sorry, this. Let's just do that. It's fine. Reanimate, Hoarding Broodlord. I want to show you guys how Hoarding Broodlord works, and then we can go from here. So we'll put Reanimate on Hoarding Broodlord. Our life is less relevant to track in this list because we're relying on Peer into the Abyss. It's only ever going to make us lose half our life. But is there anything else we need to do? Let's pretend that Drown in the Loch is essential here. We still have our land drop per turn. Were we one short earlier, Dosfa? Gotcha. My thinking is that we have 3 bodies to generate value, so we sandbag the Broodlord and hold up counters for our opponent and play Broodlord with bodies we wanted to deploy anyways. Got you. No, I get that. Oh, you know what's really smart? You wanted to, I get you. Because we had so many bodies to play out, what's being suggested is the fact that Broodlord has Convoke. We could play Broodlord once we have like these down, and that reduces the cost by 3. 2 black and then 1 generic. We did it this way, it's fine. Either way is fine. But yeah, no, that's definitely agreeable. Let's pretend we have to play Drown in the Loch to make sure Reanimate goes off. Okay, so now it's important to note that spells you cast from exile have Convoke. So what's cool about this is because we've kept an army, a Fairy Mastermind, an Orcish Bowmaster, and Talion out, we're able to use those to help us cast our next spells on top of Hoarding Broodlord. So we've got plenty of waves to cast things. And the first thing we're going to exile is going to be Saw in Half. Okay, so Saw in Half is going to be cast 1, 2, 3. We'll Saw in Half Hoarding Broodlord to get 2 more Hoarding Broodlords. I'll just make a copy token and leave the one that we have here to help illustrate this. Okay, so we get 2 of these suckers. Is that a Navi? We'll get 2 of these suckers on the battlefield, and we'll get Peer into the Abyss and Sacrifice. Okay, so the new Broodlord copy here, we'll just get rid of that, is going to cast Sacrifice. It's going to generate 8 mana, and we'll use this at this point to signify the 8. Now we can use the other Broodlord, this Orcish Bowmaster, and Talion to cast Peer into the Abyss. Part of me really wants to have a counter in hand, but I mean, we stopped the reanimate. I'm assuming that would have been the play for them to stop us from going for this line. But if someone has something for us here, then we're just screwed anyways. But that's okay. So we've tapped 1, 2. Did I tap 2? 2 total? Sure. We'll do 2, and then we'll cast this for 5. We've got 5, 3 black floating. Okay, so Peer into the Abyss is going to make us draw half our deck, round it up, which is 38. I'm going to stop maybe early. There should be 75. There should be 37 cards left in our deck. I'm stopping early just so I can just organize this before it gets too nutty. But we're going to do that. We're going to do that with, sorry, Limdil's Vault. We'll get rid of Limdil's Vault to make that multicolored. I would recommend you just only the color you need. Limdil's Vault is still useful here. I thought we had a Mana Vault. Oh, we have a Mana Vault. I'm just putting these over here because I want to get the fast mana out of the way. We have Culling Ritual, which is probably going to be used on the army. We have Cabal Ritual, which is at Threshold. We can use all of the mana we have remaining to set that up, so we're good on that. And we haven't played a land per turn, and right now the land per turn that looks good, we're ditching that for Mox Diamond, is the City of Traders. That can help us cast both Soul Ring and Mana Vault. And we have Dark Ritual here, my god. We have a Spell Seeker, no Thassa's Oracle, and no Demonic Tutor. Okay, wow. We definitely have a win here. But let's go ahead and leave 37. Okay. I'm still going to use City of Traders as my land per turn. I'll put these 2 things out, both Soul Ring and Mana Vault. Sorry, you guys can't see that. Now you can see it. And we're going to go ahead and play out the Mana Crypt, I'm pretty sure I saw as well. Just getting all of our fast mana out. A Phyrexian Tower is still fine here, but I would rather just use the generic to get the 2 artifact ramp we have. It's doubtful they have anything at this point, but the simple fact that we have Defense Grid and we can use it is alluring enough for me. So I will use that. We have 1 generic floating to put Defense Grid out. I will use the 1 generic and a black that we have remaining to cast Cabal Ritual. At this point, people are asking like, hey, should we just shuffle up? Do we need to go through this? And I'll be like, yes, you do, because you need to see how I win with Thassa's Oracle. So we need to make as much mana as possible, and we want to either Shallow Grave Thassa's Oracle up after an Entomb, and then we can use Demonic Tutor for Demonic Consultation. We have Spell Seeker for Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pack. We have Wishclaw Talisman for Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pack. We have Imperial Seal, and then we have Fairy Mastermind, who can just give us a draw if that's really what we had to do. There are 100 ways to get to the solution here, and if we just so happen to fail somehow, we also have Mnemonic Betrayal to bring other people's shit back at this point, and it would be turn 5 as we wheel around. I think this is a really good turn. There's already Thassa's. Thassa's has been in my hand. Thank you. Thassa's Oracle has been in my hand. So, right, we had it for sure. It turns out Turbonaws and its variants are good at winning games. Timothy, yeah, you're right. This is more of a control-oriented list, though. We found the hand that had Jeweled Lotus, so let's see if we can find another decent hand. Is this a decent hand? You know why it's good? I know it doesn't do the thing immediately, but we're able to stop some early game plays with Mental Misstep. Turn 0, we just Phyrexian mana that out. But we have the Imperial Seal. I kind of wish it was an Imp Seal and we had Gemstone Caverns, but you know. We're able to do Imperial Seal into Jeweled Lotus and set ourselves up. So I don't hate this. We can keep a slower hand for a turn 2 Talion if you guys want. I want to test this one more time before we close this out. But I can honestly say that that first game was pretty, I feel like that was probably indicative of what the deck's going to do. I would say that the Sakashima, the clone effects felt less interesting to me. Bearing in mind, if you had 2 Talions down in someone, in fact, cast Thrasios. Thrasios is a 1/3, right? So you could get the draw for 2 and make them lose 2 life. You could get the draw for the 1 power and make them lose 2 life. It's not bad strategy, it's not bad play, and it's actually quite good at helping you control out the game, because 1, you're damaging people that might use life as a resource as well, but also 2, you're drawing advantage. So I don't think it's hard to play this in a Goldfish scenario by myself, because maybe Sakushima would have made sense in that previous game when it didn't, right? I just note, like, just being able to note what's on board. Seal for Ristic. Man, Jim, I don't hate that idea. To be fair, protection only helps versus greedy players waiting for a peer or an impressively dense glut of interaction. Like saw resolved, so the chances of counters are much lower. Right. There was a lot of pain points there, Jim. Like, I feel like you don't really want any of that to go off, and you don't want to give the player any sort of utilities or any of advantage, so you would have stopped things much sooner. I don't know. We could do Ristic, and I think would be fine, and Ristic probably is better than a turn 1 or turn 2 Talion for sure, because Ristic is going to go into a turn 2 Imperial Seal can go into a turn 2 Ristic. I don't hate that either, unless we draw it. We did not draw it. Okay, so we'll do Flooded Strands. We'll do Underground Sea. Here. We'll play the Imp Seal, kind of doing this disjointed. I think you're right though with Ristic Study. I feel like Ristic Study will likely get more draws than Talion on turn 2. They're both valid options though. In case anyone else is running Chalice of the Void, let's go ahead and put our Chrome Mox down. I think that between Spellseeker and Mystical Tutor, I would rather keep the Mystical Tutor for a couple of reasons. We don't really have a way to gain advantage off of this body outside of our own Fimage, and other players might want to manipulate our Spellseeker, right, with their own copy effects or clone effects. And this, coupled with our draw utilities, is going to be essentially the card in the hand, right? So I'll get rid of the Spellseeker here. Psych Rift is too good at this point, I think, to let up. I wouldn't want to really get rid of it, and Mental Misstep is obviously something we want to hold on to. Let's pretend we have to cast Mental Misstep off turn. We'll use the Phyrexian mana to do it, and we are not going to top deck Manipulate because we need... Actually, I lied. We'll use that to cast it because we're not gonna go ahead and Mystical Tutor here. We want the draw. Right, so next turn we get Ristic Study. I'm gonna fast track it. We're gonna go for a shock land here, which is Watery Grave. Cool. And we'll put that on the battlefield. 1, 2, 3. It might behoove us to hold obviously the Mental Misstep to make sure that, you know, there isn't anything that could stop the Ristic Study here, but it's fine. This is all pretensies, right? How many cards do you imagine on turn 2 you'll draw from Ristic Study? People are pretty good about paying. I'm pretty good about paying it, but if there's someone really greedily playing, they will not care, right? Are we pretending we're playing against that person? Let's go ahead and draw 1, 2, 3 cards minimum, I'd say. Oof, that next draw, not good. Okay. So, we have Entomb, we have Tainted Pack. These are both instant speed, so technically we could just save these to go, this is blue right now, so this would be the generic for Tainted Pack, but we could technically get a Reanimate for the Hoarding Broodlord combo. I keep wanting to say Dread Horde Champion. I keep wanting to say Neheb Dread Horde Champion, because I love Neheb. Hoarding Broodlord. I need to go, but I want to say thanks for streaming these. Jim, Wolfie, thank you for visiting, and I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it for as long as you were here. Thank you for your suggestions. All right, so let's just go ahead and set up the Hoarding Broodlord thing. I do think that We might want a Mystical Toots first. Is there a better play? There's a better play with Mystical Tutor. Let's not kill ourselves with Tainted Pack. We could also just do Thassa's Oracle. What am I talking about? We could just get Mystical Tutor to get Reanimate, make that our draw. Okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, so pass, miss our land drop, that's fine. I think we could technically play out the Sensei's Dividing Top if we really wanted to, but I'm not into it. It's just going to fuel a Dockside Extortionist more than, you know, the two items already out here. Let's go ahead and do Mystical Tutor on top of a draw trigger. And I will go ahead and grab our Reanimate. Does it need to be blue? No, that's just Merchant Scroll, thank God. Okay, shuffle. And we'll draw a Reanimate as per trigger, Ristic Study. Okay. And let's go ahead and entomb. Let's say we got two more draws out of that turn. I'll go ahead and entomb before I take my turn. And let's go ahead and entomb Thassa's Oracle. Cool. Draw a card. Saw in half, you say. All right, we got one land, and you know what we're going to do. We've got Drown in the Loch, which I don't think is... Nope. We're 1 mana shy of making that work. Yeah, it's too color dependent for us to be able to put the Grim Monolith down. So we're just going to cross our fingers and hope and pray. But we could just go ahead and Reanimate and Tainted Pack on the Thassa's Oracle, and that'll be a game. We could sort of cross our fingers on like a good top deck draw here that would give us options, but no. All right, feed the fish. Screw the future. Play now. I agree. So guys, that's Talion. I don't know that this is the most this is the best version of this build, but like as I said off the bat, this is a blueprint for you to build off of. I like what we did here. I prefer this being a Hoarding not Dreadhorde Champion, but Hoarding Broodlord list. I think that this is a better angle for this. Maybe add in a little bit more interaction for the copy or clone cards. Like I would maybe take out Sakashima and the Vile Duplication. I like them a lot, but I don't think they're absolutely necessary. And as was suggested, when you have the tutor in hand and you have a way to get a Mystic or Ristic down early, right? Like Timothy's saying, feed the fish. Mystic Remora would have been an equally viable decision there. And I personally usually go for Mystic Remora because no one's paying for it. And provided I'm not doing anything, I will pay for the fish. Generally speaking, though, Ristic Study is usually the better card, particularly because it's impossible to stop. Like if a Storm player is trying to go off, they're going to Storm and they're going to feed it. So it happens. This is really good, though. I like the route we went with this version. I like Defense Grid here. I like all the choices we made. There's nothing that's immediately glaring or sticking out to me that I think we need to remove or fix outside of the two clone effects. I would want more counter interaction, and maybe I would switch Drown in the Loch for something else. Something else in the 1 CMC slot that could help us in pinches like the one we were just in. We did miss a land, but you know, que sera, that happens. I like this quite a lot though, and I'd love to know your thoughts on Talion, if this is something that you would want to build. I'm curious to see how this actually works in practice though. Like the draw on this seems like it could be really, really, really good, let alone the 2 damage it's doing. So I'm very interested in seeing this played out. And if you're watching this in the future, let me know how your Talion list does as you're playing. I'm very curious to find how you guys enjoy this list. I like Dimir quite a bit. It's a little bit more narrow. It's like, so far as Grixis is concerned, we were mentioning it earlier, but Rakdos, Dimir, they're both fine at doing the Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation thing. Well, not in Rakdos' case, unless you Praetor's Grasp it. But Underworld Breach is its own strategy. You get what I'm saying. This part of the color pies has been strong for a very long time, and that being Grixis. So Dimir is missing that one angle, but I liked building this because it gave us options to expand into a more control-based list, a more counterbalance list. Like counterbalance is generally not used in lists that are 3 or more colors. So I quite enjoyed brewing for this, and hopefully we get more. I can't say anything, but I've got a gut feeling we're going to see similar legends come from Wilds of Eldraine. I guess I can say that. I have a gut feeling we're going to see more creative legendary options from Wilds of Eldraine, without a doubt. I mean, if WotC's track record up till now about just printing a mess of really interesting legendaries hasn't been proof enough. Well, there you go. You have my guess. You have my guesstimate on the set. Love this brew. This is exactly the kind of deck I want to play. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I think that this list came out pretty darn well. Again, maybe switch some of the clone effects around, or let me know how you take this list in the comment section after this video. But guys, Patrick Marlette, your local game guy. This is Local Game Group, where you can come for more news and information on your favorite TCGs. Expect some One Piece content soon. I'm trying to find time in my life to do all the things I really want to do, and I love talking games with you guys. So, oh, Dark Confidant. I want to take Dark Confidant out, despite the poll that I'm ending now. But yeah, expect more coverage on other games. I'd love to get gameplay on here soon. Expect more live stream gameplay, hopefully soon. But until then, I'll see you guys Saturday. Probably see you Saturday. This list came out okay. This list came out okay, with few cuts. Like we all knew, we were all tuned in on what's what with this part of the color pie. All right, it's my fiance's birthday tomorrow, so I'm gonna need to wrap her gift and write a card. The bonus content you guys get, you're spoiled. Love you, Pat. Good day, Bloodblade. Love you too. See you, man. Hearts for everyone. Hearts for everyone in the audience.